The third part of the Riding Level 1 assessment is exercises at the halt. Now these are rider exercises. We do these at all levels. Level 1, you do them at the halt. Level 2, you do them at the walk. Level 3 at the trot, and so on, all the way up till you're doing them at the canter. The purpose of the exercises is to warm you up a little bit, but also to check your seat and your balance and to see that you are centered in the saddle. So the first thing we do is arm rotations and just reaching up all the way up as high as we can, all the way back as far as we can, and forward. So you're making a nice vertical circle. And I usually do about 4 circles in one direction, not too fast, and then 4 circles in the other direction. And then I'm going to switch hands, and I can put my whip, if I'm holding whip, in the other hand. If I want to keep it in this hand, I can just tuck it up against my arm so that it doesn't flap around and scare my horse. So again, 4 circles in one direction, and 4 circles in the other direction. Now putting my reins back in the other hand again, I'm going to take this hand and I'm going to lean forward from the hip and see if I can touch my horse between the ears. Depending how long your horse's neck is and how high they carry their head, this is either easier or harder. But the secret to this is I'm keeping my chest centered over my horse's neck, so that as I bend over, I'm not off to one side or the other, which would put me off balance. So just keeping that chest up, looking forward, and reaching out to give your horse a scratch between the ears. Same hand, sliding my hand along my horse's spine, reach back towards the dog. Now if you're feeling very flexible and you trust your horse, you can get a nice stretch by lying down, but that's not necessary at level 1. We just want you to reach back and touch the base of the tail here, which is the dog. Now, while I'm doing this, I don't want my legs to be moving. So I don't want my legs to come forward like this. I want my legs to stay down even as I reach all the way back, even as I reach all the way forward. And again, I'm going to switch hands, do the same thing with the opposite hand. Now I'm going to take my hand and keeping my chest nice and centered over my horse's neck, I'm going to slide my hand down to touch my stirrup iron. I'm not leaning over like this because this puts my head off the center line, which immediately starts me falling over that way. I actually can just rest here on her neck. Winnie, stay still. I know you want to go. And then I'm taking the same hand, I'm reaching over to the opposite stirrup iron. And for this one, just go as far as you can. The key is not to touch your stirrup iron, it's to go as far as you can without losing your balance. So same thing with the other hand. Touch my toe or my stirrup iron. And with this hand, going as far as I can. Now, obviously for this, I do have to take my center of gravity of my upper body off to the side. But I'm still I'm not leaning like this, I'm just twisting, so most of my weight is still straight down in the saddle, so that as I touch my toes, I'm not overbalancing off to the side. Straighten a bit. Now I'm going to take my feet out of the stirrups. I'm still holding the reins with one hand. I'm just going to grab my ankle or my knee, whatever I can grab. Now, the purpose of this is not to do a thigh stretch. We're not trying to stretch. What I'm trying to do is feel my seat bones centered in the saddle so that even while I'm holding this leg up, I'm still perfectly balanced. I'm not leaning one way or the other in the saddle. Switch hands, do the other leg, and also keep your shoulders nice and straight with this. You want your body to still be perfectly aligned this way and centered in the saddle. While you have your feet out of the stirrups, you can also do ankle rotations. I'm just going to do about 5 or 6 in one direction, and then 5 or 6 in the other. And this is just to keep my ankles nice and supple. Your ankle is your shock absorber. When we're in the stirrups, and we come out of the stirrups, all that weight is going right into the heel of my foot, and this takes all the shock when I'm riding. When I'm sitting in the saddle, it still takes a lot of shock, and keeping your ankle bent like this is a stress if you're not used to it. And let's face it, we don't sit like this in everyday life. So keeping your ankles nice and supple is very helpful. Now I want to check my center of gravity and my balance. So I'm going to drop my reins on my horse's neck. If you're a beginner rider, have somebody hold your horse, just so they don't wander away on you. And I'm going to come up and find my balance in the stirrups. So I can take my hands away, I'm still balanced. I can do all sorts of things to test. Put my hands on my head, put my arms forward, back. I'm still keeping my whip tucked under my arms so that I'm not scaring my horse with it. And I can put my hands on my hips just to rest. Now, if you look at my leg, my hip is over my heel, my knee is over my toe. And because I'm balanced, I know that I am right over my center of gravity. So to come back into the saddle without losing that balance, it's going to feel like I'm sticking my rear end out, but I'm basically keeping my legs steady. It's not moving here. As I ease myself back into the saddle, my heels come down a little bit more just because I can relax my legs now. But my hip and heel are still aligned, my knee and toe are still aligned. And I know that I am centered in my saddle because when I'm standing and my legs are in this position, I can balance. If my legs are too far forward, and this is the common error that most people make, is this is called a chair seat. If my legs are too far forward, it takes a lot of effort to heave myself out of my saddle, and you see how my legs swing back when I find my balance point. If my legs are too far back, when I come up, I have to support myself on the horse's neck. If I let go, I fall forward because my legs aren't underneath.